With that, I did want to introduce myself to all of you. I see some very familiar faces, and I'm excited to meet some others. I'm Nick Guzman. I'm currently the board chair of Erie House. I've been involved with Erie House since about 2003. A lot of folks see Erie House as a family and describe it as a family, and that's very true for me. I started when my sister was actually an associate director in the YOU program with the youth, and I was brought in the summer to help work with some of our high school youth to in a community development project. And I basically got hooked then, and I went off to college and then law school. And when I came back to the city, I started practicing at Drinker, Biddle and Reith, which the historic firm Gardner, Carter & Douglas actually had a relationship with Erie House for several decades prior to even me being here. So I was very fortunate to be put in that position. And I think in some ways, all these things work out, right? Where I've been serving on the board now for, I believe, about 9 years, and have been the board president for about 1.5 years. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you again, all of you, for joining us. There's so much going on at Erie House. We're really excited to bring all of that to you. I think that one of the things that I'm most excited about and kind of proud about is how Erie House has really, navigated the last, 18 to 20 months. It's been quite a challenge. I don't have to tell any of you that for everyone, but in particular for our families and for our community. And the resources and the work that we all do together to bring, I guess, resources and things to our community has not stopped. And in fact, all of our staff, and I know all of our volunteers and everyone who's been able to continue to do this important work it's just been exemplary and have done it and continue to do it because they're mission driven. And that's something that is clear when we can do this through the pandemic. So I wanted to just, in front of all of you, thank all of them for everything that they've done, and really just the shine and the perseverance that they've had. We're also very excited because, as you know, we're in the middle of a transition period. And so we're very lucky that Christina De La Rosa has agreed to serve in this interim executive director role. Christina's been at Erie House for over 10 years now and has a vast amount of experience. She'll tell you a little bit more about herself in a minute, but we're very excited to be working with her, to have her leadership. And I think it's really, it's a great moment for Erie House because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of attention being paid right now to the community and to community partners and programs like the ones we have. And so, Christina is doing such a fantastic job of navigating all of this for us. So I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna, if there are questions, we would ask you to, drop them in the chat while we're presenting, and then there's going to be ample opportunity at the end to again have a discussion and answer any questions you have. But I just want to thank you for making time for this update. I know it's late in the day, and we're excited that you're engaged and that you're here to talk with us about Erie House. Christina, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. And thank you all for sharing your time with us today. As Nick mentioned, we want to take the time to give you an insight into our programs over the last 1.5 years, and to share that despite the pandemic, staff have been working extremely hard to ensure that our families are feeling supported. I'll share a high-level overview of how the agency has responded to COVID. I'll then share some key highlights and what we're looking forward to in this new year. But before we jump into doing all of that, I would like to share a little bit more about myself. Let me see if I can jump ahead here. This is a little bit about me. I'm the daughter of immigrants. Both my parents are from Mexico, and they met here in the States, and I was born and raised in the city. I'm from Little Village, and for the first half of my life lived there, and then afterward lived by the Midway Airport area. I'm also a CPS product. I went to Bogan High School, so I'm a true Southsider, also a Sox fan. And I went to DePaul, so I never left. And at DePaul is where I really found my passion and just interest in public policy, community development. And right before I left DePaul, I had a mentor and a great professor ask me what I was going to be doing in the next couple of years. And she really encouraged me to get some workforce experience. And so I started working at the Chicago Federation of Labor Workers Assistance Committee. It's a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit extension of the AFL-CIO, and worked as a case manager there for 7 years. And I was working directly with dislocated workers. That was great, but after 7 years, I found myself wanting to do something different. And I have a small sweet spot for housing. And at that time, Erie was looking for a program coordinator to spearhead a new initiative that Erie got contracted to do. And it was a direct partnership with the Chicago Housing Authority. And what we were charged with was targeting the Latino community, providing information about CHA programs and services, but bringing that access into those communities. A lot that evolved over time to include the top 5 languages. Historically, the Chicago Housing Authority only provided information, program information in English. And now they have a full language access plan. There's an Office of Diversity there, and that really goes towards the efforts of not only Erie, but the Latino Policy Forum and the Housing Acuerdo there. After a few years at Erie, I transitioned to the assistant director of our adult programs, eventually to the director of the adult education department. And for the last year and a half, have worked really closely with Kirsten as the senior director of programs. When Kirsten came to us and shared that she would be moving on to the state, I was part of that interim plan. And so here I am, really excited to lead the agency during this time. As you can see here, it's a picture of me and my daughter, Naima. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, daughter, sister, but my mom is really one of my heroes. Naima also is an Erie kid. As many of you know, we provide early childhood education, and I'm proud to say that I'm a Head Start mom, and I'm so fortunate for that opportunity because I think that makes me a better advocate and champion for our families. All right, I'll transition now and share a little bit about what we have been doing since the pandemic hit. As you all know, these have been challenging times, and like many organizations, we had a transition to remote programming. And for Erie, our focus was responding to the immediate needs of our families. We focused on food, health, utility assistance, social emotional support, and we did so through the support of public funding, to support these efforts, these monetary efforts. But folks quickly realized that public funding prohibited access to these dollars for some of our most vulnerable communities. So foundations and organizations such as Erie created resources that would be accessible to those regardless of status. Erie launched a community relief fund to provide direct cash assistance to our families, regardless of their immigration status. And really, this was where our funders and individual donors responded to this need, and we're so thankful for them. We were able to raise over $200,000 to provide our families with, so our families can use to make sure that they had met all their needs. In the midst of all of this, we also did launch a strategic plan. Some of you may remember, we requested some feedback via a survey earlier this year, and I would like to share some of those key findings. Some of those key findings included that there was an interest in investing in our staff, that we think about how we may provide trauma-informed care through our service delivery, that we address diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that we expand to new geographic areas, not only within the city of Chicago, but outside of the city as well. While we know this is very important that we work toward determining what the next 3 to 5 years of the agency lifespan looks like, we've put a soft hold on this planning process until we are able to permanently fill the ED role. I'll now share a little bit more about a little more detail about our programs. If you have questions about programs that I'm not covering today, please drop those in the comment box and we'll be sure to address them later. I'll start with our health and leadership program. These folks, I commend them. They have been working throughout the entire pandemic. Right when we shut down, there was a big effort among community organizations and navigators to get the word out about completing the census information. In addition to that, while they were out asking folks to complete their census forms, we were also making sure they were aware of the emergency relief funds that have been made available through a wide variety of venues that I mentioned earlier. We were able to help over 300 families access these financial resources, help tenants, landlords, but we also had a great partnership with Latinos Progresando. What we did was we worked with Latinos Progresando to call families in the Little Village area to let them know that they would be eligible for free internet, tech support, and we really wanted to make sure that the students that were at home remote learning had the technology that they needed to continue their studies. Some of the key program highlights here include we're reaching over 700 families, so we're helping them apply for public benefits. And our Know Your Rights our Know Your Rights program has reached over 13,500 residents to date. As I mentioned earlier, Naima used to be an Erie kid. And I really commend our early childhood education teachers, staff, and our school age program because they were our first responders. They were the first of our staff to return on site and provide in-person programming. We were thoughtful about how we would return to work so we can ensure that we were mitigating the spread and operated at a reduced capacity. At this time, we're currently looking to revamping our enrollment, and we're looking to fill our 10 rooms to increase our capacity to pre-COVID numbers. I have a lot of exciting news regarding our early childhood education program. Despite the pandemic, it has experienced the most growth it has in years. We started a Healthy Families initiative. This initiative serves expectant and new parents with the goal of improving the parent-child interactions with the focus on preventing child abuse and neglect in the home. HFI, we also provide intensive home visiting services. We are promoting connections with community resources, and we're providing parents with the support and education that they need around positive parenting practices. The other big news is that we've expanded geographically. We are now providing home visiting in back of the yards. It's different from our traditional classroom instruction where students come 5 days a week for a minimum of 5 hours. Our home visiting is our teachers going out to parents to the homes and bringing the education to them, with the goal of eventually transitioning them into a center-based early childhood education program. Lastly, another great piece of information to share is that we're expanding our center-based programming. We will now have an early childhood education center at the Teamsters Local 705 campus, which is right off of Van Buren and Ashland. This has only been made possible through the generous support of Teamsters Local 705, and we're very excited for the first time to offer infant care. Our Proyecto Cuídate program also navigated COVID by being remote, offering case management over the phone, and designating certain days of the week where youth and participants would be able to come on site to pick up any packets to do the activities that were part of their programming. The emphasis for this program was on social and mental wellness during these tough times. And one of the big highlights to share about this program is that in this time, the team kicked off a Trauma-Informed Centers of Care initiative. This is a partnership with Esperanza Health Centers that aims to create a system that would link participants that have higher mental health needs, such as medication management, psych assessments, or evaluation that we currently cannot offer at Erie House. We also partner with Project Vida in this initiative, which allows them to also expand their mental health services. Since January, this program has served 38 individuals, 22 of which have already received individual therapy services. Our expanded learning program or department is composed of 3 programs. We did have to also reduce our capacity during the pandemic, and Erie House's Erie Center, which most of you know as the house, served as a remote learning site for CPS students that were in our program. Now that we're in the fall, CPS is back in school, we're going back to our pre-pandemic participation. Some highlights that I would like to include are that we were able to fully transition from full day summer programming into our fall programming. We were able to also think about how we may continue to provide more inclusive services. Being hybrid allowed us to think about how we may want to interact and engage other volunteers. But the other piece is that we launched a Little Village Literacy Collaborative, where our READS program, Rachel, who's in this picture, our literacy manager, she's working with other service providers in Little Village to think about how we may better enhance the literacy services in the community. Are there programs that are working? Is there a way that we may duplicate them? And really bringing all of these stakeholders together to think about how we may best address the needs of Little Village in particular. Our adult education program has also thrived during this time. We've expanded our reach of volunteers through tutor support because we were able to be virtual. It didn't prohibit anybody from continuing to receive their services. While there was a digital divide that we had to overcome, we worked really closely with some of our funders and grant makers and ensured that we were able to get tech equipment into the hands of our adult learners. And we additionally also provided that tech support I mentioned earlier. The other amazing thing that I would like to share about this is that we'll continue to be hybrid, and the teachers are really excited about this because through the generous support of funders, we were able to purchase some smart boards, and they're loving it. It's just a great way and a new method of teaching. And so they're loving it. That's something that's new to them, and we're really excited that we've been able to provide that for our teachers as well. Lastly, I'll share an update on our legal services department. Same thing, we transitioned, and the pandemic did impact the reach of this program for a variety of reasons. Some of the folks that need these services are older. There's that digital divide. There was also uncertainty around coming out in public and interacting with other individuals. But we're really excited because in just a few short weeks, we're opening up a new location for our legal services site. It's also on the Teamsters campus right off of Van Buren and Ashland. And the team is getting ready to provide in-person consultations and meet with clients individually. A highlight I would like to share is that the team actually took on a case to represent a client and get them released from ICE detention. This resulted from a regular traffic stop for this individual. They were apprehended earlier in the year, and the team took on this case. The reason why it's important is because it takes a large amount of resources to do this. There's a lot of work that's involved, a lot of legal supervision, and we're really proud of our team, the legal aides and the lawyers, for really helping this individual and now allowing him the time to focus on his case outside of detention. And so we really want to uplift that. Okay, are there any questions? I don't know if there was anything that dropped in the chat. Any questions? You're letting me off easy.
It's a good group here with a lot of history at Erie House. I know someone's got to be thinking something. I'm a lawyer, and in law school, we have something called the Socratic method, where the professor just starts calling on people. I don't want to go there though, because we're so grateful that you made time for us anyway. But yeah. I think we're just really excited about everything going on at Erie House and want to be able to share these updates with you. So, hopefully we'll make these a little more periodic and being able to. The pandemic was, a lot of negatives came from the pandemic, but one of the positives, I think, is certainly our ability to access, video and to see one another. And so hopefully some of these updates will become more routine so we can keep you all apprised of what's going on.
Yeah. So before we let you go, I'd love to share some upcoming events. We can't let you go without sharing some of the fun stuff that's happening. We'll have an all-in poker night coming up in October. $75. You can come in. I don't know the lingo. You get your chips, and then you flip your cards, and then you either hold them or you move on. I don't know. You fold. But it'd be great to, even if you're not a poker fan, you can come and hang out. I think it'd be a great opportunity to socialize. Obviously, we'll be wearing our masks. But if you're interested, here's that information. We also have one of my most favorite events is Holiday with Heart. And the picture that you saw earlier with Santa, my mom and Naima, is from one of our events. We'll be virtual again this year. But if you are interested in possibly sponsoring a family or a classroom or a student or two in our program, what we do is we make sure that every child in our program, child and youth, has a gift for Christmas. And then we typically serve a warm breakfast on whatever day we pick in December, but because of the pandemic, what we'll be doing is having parents come at their allotted time, they get their gift, and then we'll give them a gift card for them to buy some groceries. And I would love for you all to save the date. March 17th will be our annual dinner. Right now it's looking like it will be in person, but we'll have more information coming soon. And if there's anything that we've mentioned today again that you would like more clarification on, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll get that information over to you.
Christina, we've got some questions in chat.
Oh.
So before we go, a couple of them. So Maria wanted to know, is the early childhood program at Teamsters, has that started? And if and is that where the infant care is going to be going?
We are in the process of hiring and our goal is to start enrollment in the next couple of months. But yes, that's where our infant care will be. We'll have one infant room and we'll be able to enroll 8 babies in there, which we're really excited about.
And then there was one more question. David wanted to know at Wright, for our adult education students, we saw an increase in high school equivalency and a decline in ESL. Was the same true for you?
I don't know, but I can ask and I can get back to you.
Great. Well, again, thanks to everyone for the questions. And again, just for making the time. I know we're excited about all of these events and certainly excited about the Save the Date. We'll make sure you have to wear green to the event because it will be on St. Patrick's Day. But again, just thank you all for making the time and for your interest in Erie and your continued engagement. Like I mentioned before, some of you on this phone have been long supporters and we really, really appreciate it. And so always feel free to check in with Christina or with me. And we're happy to talk about Erie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks again, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.